sure looked like it.
The administration was now stepping up efforts to nail down a tangible link between Saddam and 9/11. Journalists were tipped to a meeting that supposedly took place in Prague between Iraqi agents and the 9/11 ringleader, Mohammed Atta. Pundits had a field day.
He has contacts outside in Sudan and Afghanistan with terrorists. They did indeed have a contact between Atta and an Iraqi diplomat.
In the New York Times, William Safire called the Prague meeting an undisputed fact. He would write about the Atta connection 10 times in his op-ed column. Just weeks after 9/11, Safire had predicted a quick war, with the Iraqis cheering their liberators and leading the Arab world toward democracy. Between March 2002 and the invasion a year later, Safire would write a total of 27 opinion pieces fanning the sparks of war. And on Tim Russerd's Meet the Press, Safire kept it up.
Bill Safire, the difference between sufficient provocation and a preemptive strike.
I don't think we need any more provocation than we've had by 10 years of breaking his agreement at the ceasefire. He had been building weapons of mass destruction.
In October, his own paper ran a front-page story by James Risen questioning the evidence. Then came this report from Bob Simon.
The administration has been trying to make a link to implicate Saddam Hussein in the attacks of September 11. And they've been pointing to an alleged meeting between Mohammed Atta, the lead hijacker, and an Iraqi intelligence officer in the Czech capital of Prague.
If we had combed Prague and found out that there was absolutely no evidence for a meeting between Mohammed Atta and an Iraqi intelligence figure, if we knew that, we had to figure that the administration knew it. And yet they were selling the connection between al-Qaeda and Saddam.
Bob Baer spent 16 years as an undercover agent for the CIA in the Middle East.
How did you get to Bob Baer, the former CIA official who was such an important source for you?
we called him.
How did you find him? Did you know him?
I knew some friends of his. It wasn't a problem getting his phone number. Any reporter could get his phone number.
Who was he? Why was he important?
He was one of the guys who was sent to Prague to find that link. He was sent to find the link between al-Qaeda and Saddam.
He would have been a hero if he'd found the link.
Oh, my heavens, yes. I mean, this was what everyone was looking for.
But there was little appetite inside the networks for taking on a popular wartime president, so Simon decided to wrap his story inside a more benign account of how the White House was marketing the war.
It's not the first time a president has mounted a sales campaign to sell a war.
And I think we all felt from the beginning that to deal with a subject as explosive as this, we should keep it, in a way, almost light, if that doesn't seem ridiculous.
Going to war almost light.
Not to present it as a frontal attack on the administration's claims, which would have been not only premature, but we didn't have the ammunition to do it at the times. We did not know then that there were no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. We only knew that the connection the administration was making between Saddam and al-Qaeda was very tenuous at best, and that the argument it was making over the aluminum tubes seemed highly dubious. We knew these things, and therefore we could present the Madison Avenue campaign on these things, which was a sort of softer, less confrontational way of doing it.
Did you go to any of the brass at CBS, even at 60 Minutes, and say, look, we got to dig deeper. We got to connect the dots. This isn't right.
No, in all honesty, with 1,000 mea culpas, I've done a few stories in Iraq, but no, I don't think we followed up on this.
Iraq is in possession of weapons of mass destruction, contrary to their promises.
What the White House was now marketing as fact would go virtually unchallenged.
We know they have weapons of mass destruction. We know they have active programs.
As the Washington Post veteran reporter Walter Pincus would later report, the propaganda machine was run by the president's inner circle, officials who called themselves the White House Iraq Group, or WIG.
You wrote that WIG included Karl Rove, the Chief of Staff Andrew Card, Mary Maitland, Condi Rice, Stephen Hadley, Louis Libby, and they were in charge of selling the war.
Selling the war, yeah.
Good evening.
A long year has passed since enemies attacked our country.
Their chief salesman had the best props at his disposal.
And we will not allow any terrorist or tyrant to threaten civilization with weapons of mass murder.
They created that link.
The marketing group.
The marketing group. And the link was a twofold link. One, he had weapons of mass destruction. And two, he supported terrorists. And they repeated it every day. Anybody who watches television these days know you sell a product, not just by saying it once, by saying it over and over again with new spokesmen 2-3 times a day, and it sinks into the public.
Is there anything unusual about an administration marketing its policy?
I think each administration has learned from the other.